Hello, children. I welcome you back to this portal of e learning. I hope you are doing well. And today, the topic that we are going to do is the last chapter in your literature section, entitled as Going Places. The author of the chapter, A.R. Benton, he had not been a very famous figure. He is a modern writer who lives in Zurich and writes in English. He has authored many stories similar to Going Places, which are mainly concerned with the problems and the stage of adolescence. We'll discuss the important expressions first. I have already told you in the last lesson that the words in English, when they are put together to form the compound words or the phrases, the meaning at times it changes completely. And we have to go by the contextual meaning of the word. The first one is incongruity, that means strangeness or absurdity. Arcade means shopping mall, so that's another word for it. Prodigy is genius. Amber glow, that means soft brownish yellow light. Shocked means pleased. Wharf is jetty or quay. Solitary M means single M tree here. And pangs of doubt means twinges of uncertainty. The theme of the chapter revolves around two things in specific. The first is hero worship. Hero worship is a feeling of extreme admiration for someone, imagining that they have qualities or abilities that are better than anyone else's. And the second thing that the chapter revolves around is adolescence fantasizing. Adolescence, it's a transitional stage of physical and psychological development that generally occurs during the period from puberty to legal adulthood. Adolescence is usually associated with the teenage years, but its physical, psychological, or cultural expressions may begin earlier and even they end later on. We will discuss the adolescence period in detail first for a better understanding of the chapter. So, adolescence, the period following the onset of puberty, during which a young person develops from a child into an adult. Adolescence in all has been divided in three parts, in three phases by the psychologists. The first is called as the early adolescence. That begins at the age of 10 and it ends at the age of 14. Now, what are the symptoms? So, all these three phases of adolescence, they have mainly in a specific three domains to talk about as far as changes are concerned. We'll discuss about the cognitive, the social, and the emotional changes that the child undergoes. So, at early adolescence period, there's a development of abstract reasoning about things around. The child will be involved in the moment thinking, spontaneous thinking, and often the consequences of actions they are not considered. In fact, mastering more challenging academic requirements is what is the focus. Socially, the child begins to challenge parental authority. He began to test rules and limits, develop social skills, and most of the time prefers to spend with the friends. He's too influenced by the peer group, by the people around, by the mates, and is too curious about the sexual issues as well. Meanwhile, the cognitive and the social changes they happen, emotional changes also do take place, like the acting out behaviors, have frequent mood swings, becomes self-conscious, and in fact sensitive towards lot many things around, and is specific to the changes that are developing in the body. He is egocentric a lot during this phase and has an imaginary audience. I mean, the child would feel as if everybody is looking at him every time and observing him. This too cautious a behavior. And you all have gone to this phase. So you can observe to that, but all symptoms you had, or what the few symptoms that you had, that will move forward to the middle adolescent, that will begin at the age of 15, ends at the age of 17. If we talk about the cognitive changes and all, the growth in the abstract thinking and hypothetical reasoning began. The better understanding take place about the cause and the effect relationship. So the thinking that had nothing to do with the repercussion or consequences, it is replaced by the better understanding of the cause and the effect relationship. The perspective taking ability, it also increases over here. If we talk about the social changes during this specific phase, now the child would seek autonomy from parents and the conflict began more. And the child would be engaged in high risk behaviors. The social circle here extends beyond family. If we discuss about the emotional changes, the feelings of uniqueness and invincibility began to happen, and the child would have a self concept. There would be shifts in emotions and moods, but he would have a better control over them. Then, exploration of identity is the main emphasis, is the main area that the child work over here in this phase. Now, it's a late adolescent, that's the last phase of it, that begins at 18 and ends at 20. If we talk about the cognition, the maturation in abstract thinking, it's at the highest peak, very concerned about the future, and there happen the ability to compromise and make independent decisions. He also realized over here what is mortality and what is immortality. So the main change that happens over here is in the social category, in the social domain. Now, the person would be less influenced by the peers, by the classmates, by the people around, and individual friendship it valued over peer group. He would be less engaged in the risky behaviors and rather giving time for pursuing educational, vocational, or employment goals. If we talk about the emotional domain, there are changes because here comes the time of greater emotional stability. Though the identity exploration it continues and development of more intimate friendships and relationships happen. That value begin to happen over here. Now the individual is too passionate about ideals and values and begin talking about life and experiences. Now, what in a specific adolescent fantasizing is? It's not so that only adolescents they have the fantasies. There are adults, children, kids, they too have their own fantasies. But this phase is called the phase of stress and storm. So fantasies they are an inseparable attribute of the child's and the adolescent's mental life. And they can be viewed as a synonym for imagination and explode its particular characteristic for children and an adolescent. For the child, imagination is practically inseparable from playing around. It is structured as a whole out of real elements taken from the immediate environment. But contrary to it, for the adolescent, imagination is intellectualized and his fantasy becomes more abstract and creative. So that is where the fine line begins to happen. For a child, imagination is a fantasy, but for an adolescent, fantasy is something he wishes to live for and he wants it to come true. Moreover, the adolescent's fantasy moves from the concrete, visual image through abstraction to the imagined image rather. Now let's begin with the chapter with the introduction. Going Places by A.R. Barton is a story of a teenage girl and she had certain unrealistic dreams for herself. She had lot many fantasies around. So that's what we talked about. The teenage period, that's the time where dreams are far from reality and it's about aspirations, about doing the impossible. And in this age, there is a hero the individual tend to worship and look up to. So this reality is the main background of the story. Going Places by Barton is a light piece of fiction that centers on a girl. Her name is Sophie, her dreams, and her fantasies. She wants to liberate herself from the shackles that bind her to a lower middle class lifestyle. She dreams of carving a life of comfort for herself and wants to live in luxury. You must be wondering about this fact that what's the harm in dreaming or fantasizing certain thing? So there is no harm at all, provided the individual knows that what's the difference between a fantasy, a dream, and reality, and the individual works to achieve it. So if you can achieve something that's something real, you can change something from abstract to concrete, there's no harm about it. But when you waste the entire time in fantasizing the things around, there's no use of it. Sophie fantasizes so much that her daydreams find a place for a sports idol. She lives away from the grim realities of life, which involve money, a good qualification, and rich experience. So truly, she struggles between a world of make believe and her own real world, which is lower middle class, wrought with difficulties and desires. The characters chart over here. So, the main character, the protagonist of the story is Sophie. She's a teenage girl. There's a split that you'll find out. We'll talk about Sophie's family first, that comprises of the father, the mother, who is a housewife, a homemaker, and two brothers, Geoff, who was elder to Sophie, and Derek, who was her younger brother. Geoff, he was a mechanic apprentice, and Derek, he was a student. Sophie has a friend, Jency. She was very close to her, but she was quite contrary to what Sophie was. And Sophie had this very interesting character in the story who was a fantasized boyfriend of her named Denny Casey. He was a star Irish footballer and she fantasizes about him every time. So Sophie, she's a teenage girl from a middle class family who dreams of being either a manager or an actress or a fashion designer. She also wishes to own a boutique but without earning money or having the necessary qualification. So that's what the difference is. Her father wants her to take up a job at the biscuit factory. Jency, who was Sophie's close friend, she is a practical girl and tells Sophie that working hard and earning money can help achieve big dreams. But Sophie never listened to her. Sophie's father, he's a hard worker and manages to make ends meet. He lives in a small room that is used for cooking and washing clothes. He does not like Sophie's habit of daydreaming and being insensitive towards everything around. Sophie's mother, she was also a hardworking woman because of financial issues. All the household chores have resulted in her having a bent back. and Sophie was not bothered about it. Geoff, Sophie's brother and her favorite, he was a junior mechanic who is self involved and does not mingle with the family. Sophie wants to know his secrets because, according to her, Geoff had many secrets and wants to meet his friends. Sophie does not like his silence and she is too fascinated by his life. She wants to go on a bike ride with him and to be the part of his life. Denny Casey, who is a prodigy and a soccer player. Now let's begin with the story. I have divided into headers and certain subheadings. We begin now with the first header that says Sophie and Jency's conversation. Sophie told her friend Jency that after she finished school, she would start her own boutique. Jency found the idea impractical as owning a boutique would require a lot of money. However, Sophie was quite confident. She had her plans chalked out as what she said so. She would work as a manager and save the money. Jency, she was more practical. And out of the two, she knew that they would both end up in the biscuit factory. She wished Sophie should be more realistic. While Sophie toyed with the idea of becoming an actress and earning real money in order to buy a boutique, Jency confessed that if she ever had money, she would buy a decent house to live in. So this conversation it tells us that Jency she was more practical. As Sophie entered her house, she noticed her brother Derek behind her father's chair. Her father's face was grubby and sweaty after the day's hard work, and her mother was bent over the sink washing dishes. Sophie meditated that the delicate bow fastened with her mother's apron strings looked inappropriate on her crooked back. It was evening time. Their small room was muggy from the slow and dirty washing was heaped up in the corner. She felt a tightening in her throat and went to look for her brother, Geoff. Geoff, who was an apprentice mechanic who travelled to his work to the other end of the city, he had been out of school for 3 years for now. Inwardly, Sophie imagined that there were parts of his life about the Geoff's life which she knew nothing about. He spoke very little, and she envied his silence. She presumed that when he was quiet, he was thinking about the places that she had never seen. These places held a lure for her because they were mysterious and distant. She longed for her brother to introduce her to those places and those people. She knew her father would not like it, and Geoff thought her too young, but she was impatient. She felt that the vast world awaited her. She imagined herself riding there behind Geoff. She visualized him wearing new shining black leathers, and of herself she imagined wearing a yellow dress with a kind of cape that was billowing behind. She could picture the world applauding them. So she was a kind of girl who is always in imagination. Now there comes a fake story. Sophie told Geoff that she met Denny Casey, a sports star, in a shopping mall, in an arcade. He sounded disbelieving initially, but Sophie convinced him of otherwise. Sophie told him how she was looking at the clothes in Roy's window when Denny came and stood beside her. She was still describing Cassie's appearance when her father came in. Geoff told his father about Sophie's encounter with Denny because Denny Casey was favorite to everyone. When Sophie's father said that Denny needed to take his game more seriously, Sophie argued in his favor of his abilities. She told her father that Denny had informed her that he was going to buy a shop. Her father frowned knowingly as it was another one of Sophie's wild stories, fake stories, and expressed fear that she would to talk herself and she will take herself otherwise in a wrong direction. into lots and lots of trouble. So later, discussing the young Irish sensation Cassie, Sophie asked Geoff not to discuss it with their father. Geoff warned her that there would be a lot of girls in Cassie's life, but Sophie tried to convince Geoff that Cassie was a simple guy, unlike his image. She further recounted how she had gone up to him and asked him for autograph for the little Derek, who was Sophie's younger brother, but neither of them had any paper or a pen. So they just talked a bit about the clothes in Roy's window. She said he had offered to give her an autograph if she met him the next week. Geoff was sure that Cassie would never turn up at the appointed place, and he was right. The next Saturday, the family went to watch their customary United match. Denny exhibited his Irish genius. Witnessing the crowd's adulation of Denny, Sophie glowed with the pride, as if he actually was her boyfriend, and that was all a fake story, just an imagination. The next week, Jency questioned Sophie about her lying to Geoff regarding her meeting with Denny Casey. Geoff had told Jency's brother Frank, who let Jency know. Sophie insisted that it was the truth, but was inwardly unhappy with Geoff for having spilled their secret. She was also worried that Jency would tell everyone. The only thing that relieved Sophie was that Geoff had not told Frank about their meeting the next week. She managed to convince Jency of she had really met Denny and made her promise to keep the secret. After dark, Sophie walked by the canal, and she went and sat on a wooden bench under an elm tree, a haunt for the lovers there. She waited for Denny to arrive. After a while, she imagined him coming. She also imagined her own excitement. However, after quite some time, she came to terms with the reality that Denny would not turn up. Sophie sat hoping that he would turn up. She wondered that she would tell people. She wanted people to believe her. She resigned herself to her fate and set out homewards. On the street, she imagined Denny Casey again outside Royals. She told him that she watched him every week with her dad and her brothers. They all thought he was great, and she asked him for an autograph, but neither of them had a pen. She reimagined the same scene with Denny Casey that she had previously imagined on Saturday. Now, there are certain important points to discuss that will help you out to write your answers for the assignment. The first one that says Sophie's aspirations to achieve lofty ambitions and her family's reaction to her fantasies and ambitions. Sophie desired to set up a boutique after leaving school. She told her friend Jency that to save that much money, she would work as a manager. She wanted a boutique like Mary Quant. She wanted it to be one of its kind, a very different one. She also contemplated working as an actress and having the boutique on the side. Jency, the grounded of the two, tried to reason her out with her saying that the boutique would require a lot of capital, a lot of finance, and nobody would employ her as a manager unless she had experience or qualification. Sophie's father was disdainful of her behavior. He felt that Sophie needed to keep her head on her shoulders. He dismissed her talk, knowing she lived in her own world of fantasy. He felt that she would land into trouble because of her immature talks. Now, how Sophie's fascination for Denny Casey stemmed. Sophie desired an affluent and sophisticated lifestyle. She wished to save some money and start a boutique like Mary Quant had, and Sophie's fascination with Denny Casey stemmed from the fact that he had a lifestyle she aspired for. She dreamt of a world that awaited her arrival, though there was nobody waiting for her. Her fixation with fame and luxury is revealed as she fantasized about becoming an actress. She weighed each of her unrealistic options as an avenue to fame, stardom, and money. She hailed from a middle class background. But she dreamt of achieving fame and luxury much, much beyond the humble reach of her station. Delicacy represented an entry to such a lifestyle. Her infatuation had much more to do with her own ambition than any genuine adoration of Cassie's skills as a footballer. So she was completely a daydreamer. The next point that says Sophie, a middle class girl who longs like any other teenager, reach out to horizons. Sophie was a middle class girl with lofty aspirations and ambitions. To achieve a glamorous and sophisticated life, she wished to have a boutique after she finished school, though she was not interested in studying. So, that is another question how she is going to complete the school without studying. Sophie was confident of saving the required amount of money by working as a manager. She also considered the idea of becoming an actress as there was real money in that. That's what she feels, as if it comes as an easy money. Then she wanted to have use that money for the boutique. She longed to go with Jove to places that she had never seen. Because according to her, these places they are secrets that Jove holds. These places held a lure for her because they are mysterious and distant. She imagined herself riding there behind Jove. She pictured the world admiring and applauding her entry. Her infatuation with Danny Casey, the sports star, also stemmed from the fact that he was the epitome of glamour and sophistication. Like any other teenager, she dreamt uninhabited of her station and skills. Sophie was yet to experience the hardships of adulthood. She was content to live in her world of fantasies where all was within her reach. The next one that says unrealistic dreams often lead to a great deal of unhappiness. Mark it important because it will pertain to a value based question of yours. So, if we go by justifying it on the basis of the story, Sophie, the character, the protagonist of the story, who lived in the world of her dreams, she found her reality quite suffocating. Sophie dreamt of owning a boutique one day, or of being an actress or a fashion designer. But her friend Jency believed that both of them were earmarked for the biscuit factory. Jency, who was more realistic, tried to make Sophie accept the imminent reality. But Sophie continued with her make believe ways and all her fake dreams. She imagined befriending Delicacy, the sports star, and this was only a disillusion. She imagined that Denny had asked her to meet. She went there and waited for hours, but he never asked for it, believing that he would turn up. Sophie got sucked into the story of her own creation and began to believe that it was true. When Sophie realized that she had believed in a lie, her disappointment was painful and almost life changing. And it's quite ironic that it was her own created story, her own imagination, because of what she was feeling painful or she was feeling as if she was hurt by someone. She is seen moving from one dream to another in her mind. When the harsh reality stared her in the face, her disappointment it was quite evident. Now there is this comparison between the two important characters of the chapter, Sophie and Jancy. Sophie, who was teenage protagonist of the story, she was a daydreamer who dreamt of wild things every time and spent much of her time in fantasizing about a glamorous and wealthy future. She dreamt of being a boutique owner or an actress or maybe a fashion designer, but she didn't want to work hard for it. She expected to work at the local biscuit factory one day, that was a reality. She knew that she belonged to a lower socio-economic background and could not go on with such dreams, yet she kept on dreaming. She is busy in hero worship and fantasizing rather being practical. She is jealous of the elder brother Jove as he never shared anything with her. That's what she feels. On the whole, she was adamant who did not listen to anybody except her heart, which always created a problem for her. On the other hand, Sophie's friend Jancy She was in sharp contrast as far as thoughts and temperament were concerned. She was practical and a wise girl. She had her feet planted on the ground. She advised Sophie often to be sensible and not try to think beyond reality. But it was of no use. She was practical, not completely realistic. She had no far-fetched dreams and remained grounded in reality. So, on the whole, Jency was a practical girl, but who easily believed the fake story weaved by Sophie. She would not have not wished to break her heart, and that makes her sensitive towards people. Now, this is here. It's a glossary for your free friends for your perusal. I hope you would find it helpful. Now we'll revisit the important points. Sophie and Shinsi are two teenagers who are coming back from school. They both work in a biscuit factory later on. Sophie, she is lost in her imaginations of owning a boutique shop and becoming famous like Mary Quant, a fashion designer. Jency tells her not to dream big as it requires a lot of money, which they don't have. To this, she replies that she will become an actress, she will earn a lot of money, and then own a boutique. Jency, being a realistic person, does not support her thoughts at all. On reaching home, Sophie feels choked in that small house, which is full of the stove's steam and looks untidy because of the dirty dishes. Her father is eating and her mother is busy in the kitchen. She goes to meet her elder brother Geoff, who is a trainee mechanic and is busy repairing some motorcycle part. Geoff talks very less about his personal life, which made her imagine of his personal life, which she considers very interesting, and she wanted to be the part of it. She shares a secret with him that she met Denny Casey, the famous footballer, in a boutique in an arcade. Her brother, though, and the father did not believe her, but she tried to make them believe this. She also tells her brother about her date with Denny Casey. Her brother does not believe her, but gives her a chance to believe her story. On Saturday, Sophie and her family they go to watch a football match as all of them are the great fans of football. Their favorite team wins due to a goal made by Denny Casey. All of them they felt so overjoyed about it. When Sophie returns home with her little brother Derek, Jency questions her about the reality behind her meeting with Denny Casey. Sophie gets angry with her brother because of letting her secret out, but tries to handle the situation and she succeeded. Then visits a secret place near a canal to meet her hero Cassie, who doesn't show up over there. She knows that it was just her imagination, but she was so lost in his love that she doesn't want to come out of this. In the end, she returns back to her home with sadness in her heart. But when she comes across Roy's boutique, she again finds herself lost in her hero's dreams. Now, here are certain key points given for your perusal that will help you out to write your answers. Go through them, and the assignment follows. The first question that you need to answer in 50 to 60 words that says Sophie's ambitions were divorced with the reality. How? Keep it short. Second one that says how did Sophie dream of herself in Geoff's world? It's also a short question. And one VBQ, unrealistic dreams often lead to a great deal of happiness. Justify with suitable reasoning. If you have any queries, any questions, you can post in the comment tab. I wish you happy learning. This is the end of the lesson. I'll catch you back soon with the next topic. Take care of yourself, complete your assignments. Thank you everyone.